Meridian collection looks great in every single space. It's so universal and it's so customizable. You can do any shape, any size, anything you want.
HGTV star David Bromstad makes $70,000 per episode and lives in $1 million dream home. But in 2015, his ex-boyfriend dragged him to court with shocking accusations about drugs and escorts. The lawsuit claimed over $1 million was missing. Then came a social media post in 2025 that terrified his fans. What really happened? And why did he later admit he needed to be sober and living the life I was intended to live? Today, we're uncovering the hidden battles behind America's favorite lottery dream host. David Bromstad was born on August 17, 1973 in a tiny Minnesota town called Colorado, where the population was barely over 1,700 at the time. His childhood was shaped by open farmlands, freezing winters, and a community where everyone knew each other. Until the age of 14, David lived in that rural setup with his parents and 3 older siblings before they moved to Plymouth, a suburb near Minneapolis. Life in Colorado wasn't fancy, but it was full of warmth and small-town values that David still speaks fondly of, saying he loved the simple, grounded lifestyle of the Midwest. His mother, Diane Merles Bromstad, was born on February 29, 1944, which means she only technically celebrates her birthday once every 4 years. Diane was Swedish, German, and worked as a nurse before dedicating herself fully to raising her 4 children. She filled their modest home with color, crafts, and care. Long winter nights became creative bonding time where she introduced David to quilting and textures. Early lessons in art that stayed with him. On Mother's Day 2021, he called her his sweetest, most wonderful, sassy, loving, and kind mom ever, showing how deep that bond still runs. David's father, Richard Harold David Bromstad, born April 15, 1943, had served in the U.S. Air Force during the tense Korean War years of the early 60s. Of full Norwegian heritage, he came home to work blue-collar jobs in local factories and always preferred a humble diner over a fancy restaurant. On Father's Day, David described him as godly, loving, and deliciously competitive. A man who passed down strong values without needing to say much. It's clear where David's down-to-earth attitude and hard-working spirit come from. Growing up, David shared his life with 3 siblings, Dean, Del, and Dion. Dean stayed close to home and became known for his legendary corn recipes. Dinah pursued education and family, while Dion, who studied interior design, teamed up with David to start a design business called Dragonfly Designs. That business led to David getting a dragonfly tattoo to honor the project and their sibling partnership. In 2021, both sisters appeared in a holiday special episode, decorating David's Florida home, giving fans a glimpse into their goofy, close-knit bond. Even as a small child, David showed a spark for art that couldn't be ignored. At just 4 years old, he painted the basement walls with food coloring and fabric dye. And instead of scolding him, his parents preserved it like a gallery. At Ouida High School, his passion only grew stronger. Despite facing relentless Bullying, some of it shockingly. Encouraged by a school administrator, he held on to his dream of becoming a Disney animator. He later said he had no idea how he made it through those painful years, but he did, graduating in 1992 with his goals still intact. When David Bromstad left his small hometown of Kakado, Minnesota, barely 2,600 people strong, he was chasing the only dream he'd known since he was 5 years old. Becoming a Disney animator wasn't just a career goal. It was his identity. He landed at Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida, hoping the school's legendary reputation would launch him straight into Disney's animation department. The move was jarring. Florida's GF coast felt like another planet compared to rural Minnesota. And David admitted it overwhelmed him. But he stuck it out. Because he was certain it would get him closer to Mickey Mouse's house. He chose illustration over animation at first. Because Ringling had the best instructors for drawing. And drawing, he believed, was the bridge to Disney. But then something broke. Just 2 months into school, he took an animation elective and was blindsided by a truth he didn't expect. He hated it. The structure, the repetition, the hours of grinding frame by frame, it all clashed with the vision he'd carried in his head for 15 years. He panicked. The thing he had clung to for most of his life now felt like a lie. Instead of quitting, he pivoted. He decided to double down on his raw talent and become the best drawer and painter he could be. He stopped trying to squeeze himself into a dream that no longer fit and started building a new one without fully knowing where it would lead. During college, his life looked nothing like the typical student party scene. While others were hopping between bars, David could usually be found at the 24-hour Denny's on Tamiami Trail. It wasn't just about the pancakes. He was drawn to the people, the mix of punk kids, painters, loners, and weirdos who made up Sarasota's nighttime pulse. They fascinated him. He sat, observed, absorbed. That diner crowd eventually inspired his senior thesis titled Nightlife at Denny's. He even borrowed a real chair and table from the restaurant to make his thesis presentation feel more alive. He got an A. And more than that, he got clarity. Ringling didn't just teach him art. It taught him to see the world in layers of color, complexity, and chaos. His color theory courses left a deep impression. So much so that later in life, people in the industry simply started calling him the color guy. By the time he graduated in 1996 with a bachelor's degree in illustration, he had course-corrected his whole life. And ironically, even after realizing animation wasn't his passion, he still ended up working for Disney. But instead of storyboards or character designs, he found himself folding shirts. His first Disney job was as a visual merchandiser for their retail stores. He was the guy arranging t-shirts, moving boxes, aligning shelves. It felt like a cruel joke. This was not the dream. His boss saw it, too. One day, she told him, "You're too talented. I can tell you're bored." That moment pushed him to give up his benefits and transfer to Disney's parks. Production company. He went from retail floors to the world behind the scenes. There everything changed. For the next year and a half, David sculpted massive installations for Walt Disney World. Finally, it clicked. This was the kind of creative, hands-on work he had been craving. When the temp job ended, he didn't walk away. He stayed on as a contractor, spending 6 more years building immersive environments, not just for Disney, but for Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, too. He became the guy who had a hand in almost every retail space. If there was a store in those parks, chances are it had a piece of David in it. Sculpture, painting, props, something. He even taught himself carpentry along the way, expanding his skill set every chance he got. But then came 9/11. After the 2001 attacks, the theme park industry went into survival mode. Bromstad had lost his job, and things got tight fast. Rent kept coming. Groceries weren't going to pay for themselves, and his bank balance wasn't built to last. He was struggling. Then almost randomly, a guy from his gym, someone in the interior design scene, asked to see David's portfolio. It wasn't some big job, just a chance to maybe do artwork for hotels. But when David showed up the next day with his colorful, playful Disney-style designs, something clicked. The designer didn't see hotel art. He saw potential. And instead of offering him the hotel gig, he threw David a curveball. What if he designed kids' rooms instead? That offer changed everything. At first, it might have sounded strange, but for David, it made perfect sense. He'd been building props at Disney for 6 years, mastering carpentry on the side. He knew how to turn a blank space into a story. Kids' bedrooms, he explained later, were basically all about props. So, it was second nature. And he didn't just decorate those rooms. He transformed them. Each one had to scream excitement, to spark imagination. He said the goal was simple. Make a kid walk in and say, "This is the coolest bed I've ever seen." That idea, the wow factor, stuck with him. It became a design philosophy that would define the rest of his career. Fast forward to 2006. David was 32, living in Miami Beach, and a friend pushed him to audition for HGTV's first ever Design Star competition. He jumped in. David showed up with an artist's mindset. Every wall, every piece of furniture, he treated it like a blank canvas. His style was slick, modern, and fun. Judges immediately noticed he wasn't just another decorator. He was bold, a little risky, but always artistic. When others played it safe, he went big. Then came the third episode, the wild card challenge. This wasn't your average design gig. Contestants had to create a room using stuff from unexpected places. David went to a pet store and built a space so original that one judge called it absolute genius. That moment locked him in as the runner. Week after week, he kept impressing, never falling into the trap of safe or boring. He took chances, turned weird into wonderful, and earned the kind of praise most designers dream about. By the finale on September 10, 2006, the suspense was real, but to viewers, the outcome was clear. David Bromstad won. The final announcement came after 58 minutes of build-up. Host Clive Pierce revealed his name. And in that slow-motion TV moment, David broke into tears and hugs. Along with his new show, he got a brand new Mercury Mariner SUV. Some reports say he also scored a Ford Mustang GT convertible separately. That one became his first ever new car. But even without the wheels, David's win was massive. He wasn't just the winner. He became HGTV's first real star. David Bromstad came back to HGTV's design star in 2007, just a year after winning Season 1. In Season 2, he appeared as a guest judge right in the premiere episode. But it was Episode 7, Island Dreams, that people remember the most. It aired on September 9, 2007. The two finalists, him Miles and Todd Davis, were given $10,000 each to turn old hotel rooms in Hawaii into stunning tropical escapes. David was there giving them emotional support and some creative guidance. A week later, on September 16, the finale aired. Kim Miles was announced as the winner after more than 900,000 viewers voted. She didn't just win the title. She also got a Mercury Mariner SUV in her own show called Miles of Style. Todd got the same car as a prize, too. So, it wasn't a total loss. For years later, in 2011, David wasn't just visiting anymore. He was the full-time mentor for Design Star Season 6, which started on July 11th. This time, the show was in New York City and there were 12 designers battling it out. Tana Ray was the new host, but David focused on helping the contestants build their on-camera presence. He brought his own experience as a past winner into every challenge. He helped them get through the White Box Challenge, a dream kitchen transformation, and even a challenge where the final three had to redesign a house the size of a closet, just 86 square foot. Meg Caswell won that season, and Carl Spanholz came in second. David taught them how to explain design choices in a way that would connect with TV audiences, constantly reminding them how important it was to master color theory and design basics. Then came 2012. And things changed again. David was now both the host and mentor for design.